Hey folks, Joe Zarzaur here from Zarzaur Law, and I want to talk to you a little bit about trial by jury. I'm sure everybody knows that you have a Second Amendment right to carry a firearm. And the reason you know that is that people make a big deal about laws associated with it. In other words, anytime there's a law that restricts access to guns, people scream and holler about the Second Amendment. Now, the Second Amendment is one of the Bill of Rights. It's one of the first 10 amendments to the Constitution. Another amendment that is not talked about as much, and people generally don't pay attention to it as much, but it is very important, is the Seventh Amendment. The Seventh Amendment to the Constitution is your right to have a trial by jury versus by a judge or a company or a particular person that's chosen by a governing body. And you may ask yourself, well, why is that important? Why is that as important as my right to carry a firearm? Well, I think it's more important, and here's why. The trial by jury is the only thing in our government system that allows for and protects us from the government or another citizen taking away our rights without recourse. So, for instance, if we didn't have trial by jury, which I can give you a scenario, if you were to go to a car dealership today and you were to purchase a car, part of the paperwork that they have you sign many times on videotape is called an arbitration agreement. An arbitration agreement means that you're waiving your right to the Seventh Amendment right to trial by jury. Okay? Now, what does that mean for you? Well, that means this. If you were to get defrauded at that car dealership, and let's say they sold you a car that was wrecked or damaged in some way, and you didn't qualify under the lemon law in Florida for various reasons, then you would have waived your right to a trial by jury. And you may say, well, why does that matter? Well, it matters because the car dealership, when you waive your right to a trial by jury, you're also agreeing that if you find anything wrong with them as a business, that you're not going to sue them, and that your only recourse is to go through an entity that they set up to arbitrate claims. And that entity usually makes you pay a filing fee, and it guarantees no recovery at all. So the businesses will argue, well, it's more economical for us to have arbitration instead of trial by jury because it's predictable and we don't have to worry about being hit with big verdicts. Well, folks, you're trusting yourselves to make decisions as a juror, right? So if you doubt that a jury is going to do the right thing or the reasonable thing, and you've been on jury duty, then you're doubting yourself. What's also true is that if you've tried to get out of jury duty for whatever reason, and then you complain about the juries not doing what you think is reasonable, well, whose fault is that? Remembering that one of the foundations of our Constitution is a trial by jury, it's important to know that that is one of the last strongholds that we would have in our society that keeps our rights protected, all of our rights protected. Even the right to have a firearm, potentially, could come up in a jury trial. So, long and short of it is this. If you're an ardent supporter of the Second Amendment, or any amendment for that matter, of freedom of press, for instance, then you should also pay attention to the Seventh Amendment, because the Seventh Amendment, although it doesn't look like it houses immediate rights to do something, it actually is an amendment that protects your rights, all of your rights, because you know, as does anybody trying to deprive you of a right, that before they can take it away from you, they have to go through a jury of your peers. And to do that, they have to convince a jury of your peers that they're right and you're wrong. That has come up recently in regards to the COVID stuff. I heard it first related to nursing homes trying to take your right away to sue them I heard it about emergency departments. I heard it about physicians wanting to pass these regulations. And now I'm hearing it in the context of businesses trying to take your right to sue them away if they do something that negligently harms their staff. And I know we're going through a crisis right now. Everybody knows that. So would a jury. If a jury ever got brought before a case where the allegations were that a business failed to provide reasonable procedures or reasonable PPE to protect its staff, or made the staff come to work with somebody they knew was sick or could be sick or likely was sick, and they passed the virus that way, and you were a juror, okay, you would have the ability to know, okay, wait a minute, how do we know that under this scenario where everybody's scrambling trying to do the right thing, did they act reasonably? And if you feel they did, then you wouldn't fine against that business. But if you feel that they did act unreasonably under this situation, because we're all going through it, we all know what it feels like, then it would be your right to find that business liable. Anybody asking you to take away your Seventh Amendment right to trial by jury is basically asking you to allow them to do wrong without recourse. Because at the end of the day, they're basically saying, I don't trust the jury system in this country. I don't trust you, the common people in the country, to decide things. I want to take it away from them. I want to take the ability away from our citizens to decide what is and is not actionable. We have to resist that all the way across the board. Whether it's this car dealership stuff is already standard in the practice. I try not to buy from car dealerships that have arbitration agreements. But sometimes it's almost impossible to do that if you want a certain brand of vehicle. Same is true for banks, credit card companies, those kind of things. And you don't have a lot of bargaining power with some of these folks. I know when we bought this building, the lender wanted us to sign an arbitration agreement. And I said, look, you're asking me for your business, and now you're asking me to help you make money off of me. Well, I'm in the business of trying lawsuits to juries. So this is offensive to me. And to their credit, they took the arbitration agreement out. My point is this. My point is, especially under this current pandemic, we need to be aware that the Seventh Amendment is a very important amendment in our Constitution. It's the right to trial by jury, and agreeing to allow any business to be immune from any kind of lawsuit is basically saying, I don't trust juries. And if you don't trust juries, serve on one. And when you serve on one, you will trust them. Because, I've lost cases and I've won cases. But I can tell you this much. All of it, at the end of the day, was the right thing to happen. Because the jury, for whatever reason, decided that my case wasn't strong enough when they voted against me and my clients. And they, of course, when they voted in favor of our clients, we felt like they were right. But there was always something a reason they could attach to. And our system is built that way. And we respect it. So, long and short, read the Seventh Amendment. I've read it just before I shot this video. It's quite instructive. And if you're one of those people that feels strongly about another amendment, you should feel even stronger about the Seventh Amendment, because it's there to protect all of the rights we have. Okay, y'all take care. We'll be back, I'm sure, with another video on a different topic.